you take negative criticism I'd take it in a positive way to go out and prove a point. The game has evolved to be more of a mental challenge for me than a physical, and that's one of the reasons that I still play the game, because I can challenge myself.
If Jordan's rage to prove himself inspired his teammates, it could also burn them.
I've seen Michael come in a lot of times and, knock over all the Gatorade cups and go off and say, if y'all ain't gonna play, stay in the locker room.
Phil Jackson was never the coach of that team. Michael Jordan was the coach. Jordan was the one who yelled at them. Jordan was the one they feared. Jordan was the standard they had to live up to.
Michael is he's killing Bill Cartwright all the time. In the locker room, in front of everybody.
He said some things to me that I really didn't like, and I couldn't take it. If you let him ride you, he would ride you to the moon. He would ride you right out of the NBA and out of your mind.
The one thing when you play against Michael Jordan, you not only have to stand up to him physically, you have to stand up to him mentally, because he will torment you. Looks for something to get him in this kind of frame of mind. Just like that, in your face. See, he looks for an edge. He wants Starks to come back at him.
Now, let me go back to last week. You were going to tell me about trash talking with Jordan and said to remind you to bring that back up. It was a preseason game, and Chuck Person said you need to go out there and give Jordan grief right away, establish yourself. Is that what happened?
Well, remember now, let's set this up. Preseason, as we said, for veterans, it's more for veteran players. It's more for getting in shape and trying to get your routes and your timing done. You really don't play a lot of minutes. It was my rookie year, so most rookies play anywhere from 30 minutes to almost 40 minutes most of the game because they don't know any better. So we're playing in some exhibition game somewhere in Idaho or North Dakota where you play most of these obscure preseason games at, and we're playing Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls. Now, of course, he's still Michael Jordan because Michael's 3 years older than I am, but he wasn't Michael Jordan with the music behind him like he is now. And you like that. And I'm having a good first quarter because obviously we're guarding one another, and he's going through the motions because veterans really aren't going hard. And Chuck Person is egging me on saying, tell him to take that. Yeah, tell him he can't check you. Tell him he's all that. And I'm looking at Chuck like, I really don't want to talk noise to Michael Jordan, but hey, maybe I'm trying to establish myself a little bit. So I go ahead, and he eggs me on, and I say a few things to him. Next thing I know, Michael looks over to Doug Collins, who was the head coach at the time, now my compadre at TNT, and says, leave me in. That's all he said. Leave me in. Well, next thing I know, we were up by 16 points going into the third quarter. I had like 12. Michael had 2. By the end of the game, I had 12 and he had 35. And I remember walking off the court, and he looked at me, and this is all he said: don't ever talk to me. That's all he says, like, don't ever talk to me again. And even though for the next 17 years, he and I were cordial and cool, minus the fight, he's right. I never did talk noise to him again.
That was the only guy that you wouldn't say anything to?
That was the only guy I never antagonized.
Do you remember what you even said to him?
To MJ?
Yeah.
You can't. How can I say you can't check me? This man, seriously, they should have checked my blood after the game. I was a young, dumb rookie.
You were dumb. And you know what, Jordan? Jordan never forgets.
God bless him.
Jordan demonstrated the depth of his lust for winning when he led the Bulls against the Cavaliers in the first round of the 1989 playoffs.
There was 3 writers then traveling with the Chicago newspapers with the teams. And each of us picked the Cavaliers to win the series before Game 5 in Cleveland. He points to the one guy who picked him in 3, and he says, we took care of you. And then the other guy picked him in 4, he says, we took care of you. And he looks at me, and he points me in the eye, and he says, and today we take care of you.
Inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! They win it!
In 92, Portland had its great season, and they were going into the finals against the Bulls, and Clyde Drexler had a great season. And there was a lot of talk that Clyde would be the MVP. Before the game, Michael says, we'll show who's the best player in the league. And he gets 35 points in the first half of Game 1 against Drexler, including 6 3-pointers with his famous sort of shrug.
There's Jordan for 3. Yes!
If he wanted to do something in a game, there was no stopping what he could do.
To get out and run here, Penny Hardaway not really aware of where anybody in a red shirt was, and there the show. Whoa. And both John Koncak and Penny Hardaway froze on the play.
Sequence, 10 to go on the shot clock. Jordan down low.
And he used the word embarrassed about 4 or 5 times of not being out and guarding LaBradford Smith early in the game.
Grant off the mark. Jordan. Smith now 16 of 21 of the 2-game series. Jordan. Oh. Jordan picked up by Jones. Quarter. 3. Jordan for 3. Oh, yeah. Uh-oh, the back door. Yeah. Bulls on offense. Michael Jordan lets fly for the outside. Purdue runs out of room. Finds Jordan.
There was nothing there. 17 points, 8 for 8 from the field. And as I said, he's got 17. The Bullets had 12. And now Will Perdue on
from Chicago. They showed the movie The Blues Brothers. And, of course,
and it reflected when he would shoot free throws.
Tough shot.
They don't have very many big guys out there. Not good rebounders. You got a 35-year-old.
Stacey King right back to MJ. Oh, they're slipping away. Backs into MJ. Michael for 3. Whoa. Jordan backing LaBradford Smith. Michael takes it on the turnaround.
LaBradford Smith right there on him. Right there on him. Right there. Right there.
First half. 36 for Jordan, 1 out of
Michael is Sealy. Where did he go? Where did he go? Time.
Which way did he go, Mike? Don't watch my ankles. Watch my ankles. You'll break them.
In the offseason, brought in Gerald Wilkins to be the Jordan stopper.
I'm looking forward to it, no question about it. I think the number one thing is that it's my job to go out and put the job on him to shut him down, keep his numbers down.
But as the Cavaliers would quickly find, stopping Jordan is not a one-man job.
Pippen on top as Jordan's trying to post up. Oh, Michael with a beautiful fake. Oh, man! What a fake by Jordan.
I wanted to prove to them that, hey, no matter what you do, what changes you make, I'm going to overcome that challenge.
Trying to go inside, Michael. Spins, it's got. Yeah! What a shot by Michael. Michael is talking to the crowd. And Michael looked over at us and said, he can't guard me. He can't guard me. Jordan. Michael to finish.
See, this is what Michael lived for. He wanted this challenge.
So much for Gerald, and I'm going to shut Michael down.
The early going, Phoenix 6 and Chicago 2. Want to make it a game 6. Back in Phoenix on Sunday. Right, played by Barkley. Jordan Yes, Suns 22. Bulls have hit their last. Bulls have led by as many as 7. Seldom used during the season. Jordan, yes, and it counts.
Top that he lost sight of Stacey King from behind him.
Jordan with
today or at this particular time, and I think that's helped me elevate my game.
And the Bulls now lead 37-35. Here's Jordan.
So far, and they're still close enough. If he needs them a lot in the second half, he should be fresh.
Jordan with some room. Bulls 0 for the last 6. Michael Jordan has returned, and yet Chambers with room. It was deflected by Grant. Grant with the block. Jordan around Marley. Jordan all the way! Yes, and it counts!
Back at him.
That has not been one of Charles's fortes, shooting from downtown. Charles Barkley, 6 of 13. Michael Jordan, once again with the extension. Jordan around Dumas. Yes, and it counts.
He made a couple jumpers early, which got his confidence level up. Right now, he's just 2 for 9 from the floor. Not real confident shooting.
First, be in the game playing and scoring like they're doing.
Jordan. Here comes Jordan. 9 o'clock Eastern time, right here on NBC. Crossover move for Jordan, and finishes with the finger roll, plus the foul.
They want to play good defense without fouling right now.
There is a 7-second disparity between the shot clock and the game clock. Jordan, yes, and it counts.
You know, it would have been better for Charles to foul him all the way.
When I talked to you this afternoon, I have never seen you more determined than you were before this game tonight.
Well, I was very disappointed with the way I played last game. You know, I had a lot of chances to win the ball game, and I didn't really converge on it. So I wanted to, do my part this game and hopefully give ourselves a chance to win the game.
He was playing against the Utah Jazz and heard from someone off the court after he dunked on John Stockton that he should pick on someone his own size. And then a few plays later, dunked on 7-footer Mel Turpin and went back and said, "Is that guy big enough for you?"
Team.
For Jordan, golf was only one part of the whirlwind schedule, which his teammates were discovering was just the way he liked it.
What are you doing today, M-Job? What you gonna do? You want to sleep? I remember thinking that. Does this guy ever sleep? Golf, 36 holes. I'm playing it tomorrow, too. He would do more things and be ready to practice and play as much as anybody.
Michael Jordan.
The thing that I remember the most was going out and playing golf with Michael Jordan before a game. And I thought, and I'm going to be exhausted tonight. And Michael just had ridiculous energy and was phenomenal. I felt like I was running in quicksand a little bit. And so, it gave me a whole nother level of respect for kind of the freak of nature that he really is. Grab that plate of food, Jim.
We played cards in Magic Room till 5 o'clock in the morning pretty much every night. It was so much fun.
Right, homie? Yeah, I'm tired.
He's like a bionic guy, or he'd play cards, play golf, play basketball.
Jordan going all the way.
I don't know when he ever slept. Finally, after a ball game, he was just lying down. And I looked at him, I said, I think that's the first time he's gone to sleep on the whole trip.
What are the intangibles and the things that the average fan does not see? You can go to a game and watch him play, but to be around him day in, day out, what made him different?
I think just the will to win and the way that manifested itself in practice. I mean, every day was a battle. It really was. Whether it was a scrimmage, shooting drill, didn't matter. He wanted to win so badly, and that established the entire culture for the team. I mean, here's the greatest, most talented player on earth, who's working harder than anybody. So if that doesn't kind of establish who you are, you know, as an identity as a team, I don't know what does.
Michael Jordan is always on the lookout for extra motivation. In January, Jeff Van Gundy did just that. Not surprisingly, Michael would burn the Knicks all game long.
18 points in the first quarter for Michael. Mike with 27 in the first half.
An NBA season high 51 points left Van Gundy and the Knicks speechless.
Mr. Van Gundy has a Jordan headache right now.
Barkley had stained a dream debut for the Americans. But in their next game against Croatia, Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan grabbed the spotlight, with the focus on their matchup with one of Europe's best players, Toni Kukoc.
Major storyline that carries into this game involves Toni Kukoc, second-round pick of the Chicago Bulls back in 1989. The Bulls made a strong push to sign him last season.
At that time, general managers in the league were trying to come up with gems, you know, make their discoveries overseas. And Krause thought this guy could play in the NBA.
While Jordan and Pippen had been winning back-to-back titles, Chicago GM Jerry Krause had been publicly wooing Kukoc to join the Bulls.
Krause was recruiting this guy and talking how great he was. You know, that's like a father who has all his kids and now he sees another kid that he loves more than he loves his own. So we were not playing against Toni Kukoc. We were playing against Jerry Krause in a Croatian uniform.
But unfortunately for the real Toni Kukoc, he was now the target of the world's two best defensive players.
They was debating who was going to guard him. No, I got it. No, I got it.
I'm looking at Michael and Scottie, and they're ready for, like, blood. Like, man.
We knew the world was going to be watching. We knew everyone wanted to see what Toni Kukoc was like, and we were going to give him the worst experience he ever had on the basketball court.
Pippen drew the initial assignment of shadowing Kukoc and harassed the Croatian from the opening whistle.
It was hard to run across the half court without a ball. And with the ball, it was just, here, somebody else get it.
Toni definitely wasn't getting a shot up, and he wasn't going to score.
Kukoc is nothing for 4, and he's contributed nothing.
We wanted to go guard him on the bench.
Kukoc is called for the offensive foul, and the pressure continues.
And after Pippen wore Kukoc down, it was Jordan's turn.
Kukoc, stolen by Jordan. He reads it better than anyone. Slam dunk.
Them dudes were all over him.
Jordan rejecting Kukoc. Here's a 3-on-2. Pippen.
I had questions from my teammates during the game, like, what is going on? Do you not see that they're really trying to get you off the court? And we're like, so what? I guess that's how NBA game is played.
Pippen, Jordan, and the Americans cruised to another victory. This one by 38 points.
For me, Michael Jordan was a killer. It didn't matter. He wanted to come in and kill you. You know, when I remember my first game playing him in the Spectrum in Philadelphia. He dropped 48 in 3 quarters and wouldn't sit down and watch the rest of the game.
For the record, there was some people saying you were going to be the next Jordan, quote unquote. Yeah. So there was,
and he squelched that right away, just like that. He may be, but not tonight.
Jordan saved it to Pippen. Now Michael loses Stackhouse into the front row, and then
Michael has a streak in him competitively that I've never seen in anyone before. I mean, he could miss. We were playing in Washington. He missed 11 straight shots and against Minnesota, and I took him out late in the third quarter after he made one. And I said, Michael, I'll give you a little rest here going into the fourth quarter. He said, I just got it going. I said, Michael, you missed 11 of your last 12 shots. He said, I made my last one. You know, that's the way he thinks. What I've always said about Michael is he never feared the consequences of missing. You know, I'm going to take the next one. And, man, did I learn so much from that guy just being around him and the way he approached every game.
But so does that – I'm sorry, but, I mean, so then is the criticism then on some level fair that LeBron didn't go down shooting last night?
As I've said before, they're different personalities. you know, Kobe is more like Michael. Kobe is going to take 45 shots and not care. That's more of his personality. As I said before, LeBron is more of a guy to bring guys together kind of thing. You know, Michael's big thing, you don't have it going, I've given you your chance, I'm going to win this game. We're going to win this game. And I'll tell you an interesting story about the greatness of Michael Jordan. When I was coaching in Washington, we played the Indiana Pacers, and we were down 25 at the end of the third quarter. And I took Michael out of the game, and I said, look, Michael, I know you think we can still win this game, but we got to play, you know, in 2 nights. And if we make a little run, I'll put you back in the game. Well, we didn't. Well, I found out that after the game was over that he had 8 points in the game, and he broke a streak of like 860-something games in double figures. And so the media was on, you know, how do you think Michael's going to be with this? You know, I said, you know, look, Michael's got championship rings. He's got gold medals. He's got NCAA championships. He's got MVPs. He's not going to care about the 8 points. So he met with the media and agreed. You know, that bus is lonely as a coach when you're sitting there after you've got your head handed to you. So I was sitting on the bus, and actually Michael had hired me. He was the part owner and president GM, hired me to be the coach, and then he came back to play. I'll never forget this moment ever as a coach. This to me was greatness. He got on the bus and he said, scoot over. And he looked at me and he said, do you think I can still play? And I said, absolutely. That's why I'm here, to be here to help you. He said, you know, to be my coach, you have to believe in me and believe I can still play. And I said, Michael, I believe in you. He said, you did the right thing tonight. You did the right thing tonight. I don't care about the points, but I needed to know that you believe in me. Fast forward, we get on the plane. He has a few cocktails, smokes a couple cigars, all the things you're not supposed to do. Yeah. We get back about 3:30 in the morning in Washington. At 7:30 that morning, he's down in the fitness room with Tim Grover, working out like you can't believe. Now, he's 41 years old. We play the New Jersey Nets the next night. And Michael scores the first 3 times he has the ball. Byron Scott takes a timeout, and Michael comes over and he says, I want the ball right there the rest of the game, and don't take me out till I tell you. And so that's fine by me. So with 2 minutes to go in the game, he gives me the sign like, that's enough. I take him out of the game. He walks over to the bench. I said, like, Michael, like, what happened tonight? He said, well, the guy who was guarding me was told me his back was hurting. Don't ever tell me you got a problem. He said, I'll make you pay for that. 51 points later. 51 points at age 41. He came back the next game with 46. And he looked at me and he said, I told you I could still play. 97 points. I mean, Mike, I was absolutely blown away at what this guy could do. His mind, how strong it was. I mean, he's playing on one leg. I mean, he'd cut his finger, you know, with doing a cigar. He had his finger was bent. He had a bad knee. The competitive will and great. I've never seen anything like it. But that moment when he looked at me and asked me if I still believed in him, I said, "This is the greatest player to play the game, wanting to know if I still believed in him." It was a moment I would never ever forget.